Welcome back to Just-ok-wargamers. Raymond here. What I wanted to do today was start to have a talk around Oathmark 2nd edition, which is going to come up really rapidly, I feel, for the year. It already being close to the third month, and it should be due out for release in August. We know very little at the moment about Oathmark 2nd edition beyond its rough release date, and that it is going to have some expanded upon rules. So it might be good to have a look at what we would like to see in the 2nd edition of the rules regarding rule changes, army changes, and today I want to look at the actual layout of the books and hopefully some expansions which would come out shortly after. Oathmark itself, as most of you probably know, has 3 expansions so far: Bane of Kings, Oathbreakers, and Battlesworn. And this kind of completes all of the expansions that we have for Oathmark, making it a very tidy, neat rule set. No 20 out-of-date army books or anything like that you might see in other games. The layout itself for the rules for Oathmark, I really like. So your first 60 to 70 pages are every rule that you need to play the game. Some of it could be reduced in its wordiness. So for example, if you look at the terrain rules for obstructions, they can be a tiny bit wordy, and that could be reduced down to make the rules ever so slightly shorter. But I'm sure the rules will also be expanded with hopefully more detailed, for example, in, say, the maneuvers, with some more diagrams, which are always useful. What I'd really like to see in the 2nd edition of Oathmark is for them to release 2 separate books. One book would be the rule book and army lists, and the other book would be the campaign book with the military expeditions in it. So up to page 70, you have the rules. What I'd like to see is the building of an army, so the creating a kingdom in the campaign piece. Have a short section on assembling an army, where it might just say that you can include everything, and then if you want, you can do a campaign where you're going to create your kingdom and be much more limited. You'd have your army list, so your figure list, they call it, in the main rulebook, and you've got your dwarves, human, elves, goblins, unlined creatures, and then hopefully in here that'll also put in the undead from Oathbreaker into this piece. Then what they could do, if they wanted to try to reduce the size of the main rulebook, because you would be taking out the building an army bit and also this campaign section, so they're going to have a bit more space for extra rules. But what they could do to further make space is they could do something. For example, here they've got dwarf soldier, dwarf spearman, dwarf archer, fluff. And what they could actually do is maybe just have dwarf soldier, and then down in this section they might just say, for 1 point, add spear to become spearman, and include the trait brace. Then another sentence, arm with bows, reduce fight value to 0, increase shoot to 2, take away the shield rule, and add in fire over. So they've just added in 2 extra sentences to this bit, explaining how to make your dwarf soldiers, archers, and spearmen. Then they could get rid of these sections, and that's going to further give them extra space to put in, say, the undead lists, and they could also put in some of the other facets that came in from expansions like Battlesworn, where they could put in the battle honors trait into there, because it's only about an extra page or 2. From Oathbreakers, I believe they got the legendary hero traits, which is another couple of pages. And then the Bane of Kings, they've got the formations, which was a fair chunk. That was like an extra 5 or 6 pages. But by reducing those army lists, they can do the same thing with warriors and line breakers as well. By reducing that, they can add in all those extra special rules into this piece here. So once they've got that piece, that would make up the rulebook section, and I believe that the rulebook would then come out to be roughly the same size, but it wouldn't have any of the campaign pieces into it. Then what I'd like to see is a separate book come out where they would include all of the campaign pieces, so how to build your kingdom, and then the principles of war peace, and hopefully they would refine that. They'd include a few generic scenarios, and then what they would do is they would take the really great military expeditions that they do, and they would put a whole bunch of these military expeditions, obviously not the ones which I've already done from the previous expansions, but some new military expeditions into the second campaign book. And they could have a lot of fun with it. They could possibly have, one or two scenario military expeditions, and then they could have, 2 or 3 to 4 scenario military expeditions, and then at the very end they could have like an epic expedition where they could have a military expedition that might involve 8 to 10 scenarios which are all linked together. And it would be nice to see maybe a piece added onto it about making your own military expeditions or making your own scenarios and rules, and the process that they do to make that. So I know that's a bit of a tangent, but in terms of the layout, that's what I'd really like to see, is those 2 separate books, and then a reduction in the figure list to allow to add in all those extra special rules. And then lastly, the only other thing I'd really like to see is at the very back, I'd love to see here where they have an okay reference sheet. It's actually not as bad as what I originally thought it was when I've re-looked at it. But it would be great to see this potentially refined, made easier to read, and put onto just one double-sided page. I have seen rule sets where this page here has actually been able to be pulled out of the book, and then you can just have it separate. So no need to even print it off and have your own copy laying about. They just give it straight to you. And I think that would be a really nice addition to add to already an amazing rulebook. So that's it for today. Let me know what you're looking forward to for Oathmark 2nd edition. And what I'll do is in the next week or 2, I'll release a couple more videos about what I think would be some great changes in Oathmark in regards of some of the mechanics. So we'll have a look at the activation mechanic, the movement mechanics and maneuvers in particular, and then also have a little look at some things which I think might need tweaking, like the shooting mechanic, catapults, the cost of elves, and so on. So let me know what you'd like to see changed for the layout of Oathmark, as well as any other changes you might think might be coming for 2nd edition. That's all for today. I'll see you later.